Welcome to the Everyday Awesome Project, where we bring you inspirational stories and game-changing strategies to live your most awesome life. Hey, superstars, welcome back. Polly here.
And Sam, what's up, beautiful humans?
Oh, my Buddhist, beautiful friend. What are we talking about today?
Well, we're talking about some things, but how I perceive the conversation is what you and I are getting up to right now in the world. And it is, we're practicing the art of living, which is who we are. We are practicing the art of living. And currently, we're both really engaged in learning, exploring, understanding, and becoming more knowing in our own interbeing about certain subjects that have to do with who we are in the world, how we live our life, and really understanding not just ourselves, but humanity. But we have to start with ourselves first. So we're both on this really kind of deep, inquisitive path. Different
Yeah.
paths, but yet they're very, related.
And I would say, one of the things we said before we went on air is about how it's just, we don't know, like, it's not like, oh, I've got this direct map to New York and every little turn, left turn and right turn is identified and I'm just following it. It's more like there's this thing I've heard about called New York and I want to go there and let's just get in the car and see where we go, right? And or there's this thing called the United States that I want to see and let's get about seeing it. And who knows what left or right. And I think one of the things I've been getting from a guy who does some channeling is he says, follow your excitement. Like that's the ticket. Follow. I was like, hey, I can take that advice. That's usually actually how I live. Follow your excitement and what excites you. And he says, like, even just like 10% more than the other thing. Like if you've got two things that are like either they're both or they're both super exciting. Well, which one's 10% more? Like that's the thing for you, right? And so one of the things that I most want to talk about, I love how you opened it with the practicing the art of living, which is like mic drop right there. Like that phrase, when you've texted that to me and when you've described that to me, that originates from Buddhism, right? That's like the study of Buddhism is like the art of living. And you've talked about how like life is art and we're creating our art. And I had this quote that I sent you this morning that was like, some people paint with a paintbrush or sculpt with a, clay, or they, create music with a guitar. And then there's some people that I would say you and I, we don't have the art of a hobby, if you will, that creates.
Well, we've got this podcast, which is a
Yeah,
word art.
right. And this particular person that was on this article was like, he's a doctor, and like that's
Ah,
his art, right? And so yours is, the things that you're up to in the world and mine, and it's all crafty and creative. So if we step back at the 10,000-foot view of our life, there's this beautiful tapestry that our life weaves and the people in it and the colors of it and the places we've seen and the music scapes and the faces and the moments and all of that. And that's creating our art, our life, if you will, and especially the ones that we
yeah.
touch, right? Like through this podcast.
Well, everybody gets the opportunity to make art.
Mm, mm,
And however you decide you're going to perceive your own life
yeah.
is by choice.
Mm-hmm.
I think, first of all, let's just start with that. It's by choice how we decide to wake up every day and perceive our life.
Mm-hmm.
It's so mind blowing, the simplicity of that statement,
Yeah.
because many of us feel like, well, this is just what it is, and somebody else is scripting it, and I'm like an actor in the play, and I'm going to be, doing the roles and da 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 da. Da. No, just no. So if I decide that my life is art, I'm also talking about the last 55 years, and let me tell you, a lot of it was a mess. It was chaos,
Yeah.
explosions of color and broken glass and all the things. But that's okay. I don't mean that everything was beautiful
Right.
and it's like Picasso and this is a masterpiece. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
Yeah.
that it's all been part of the art work. I
Mm.
am the creator.
Mm. Well said. What? And I do want to give a nod because I think one of the things you maybe lose track of, and sometimes I do too, is not everyone plays the game the way that we do, right? I think there's a lot in our society through conditioning, through old patterns, through fears, through the way society tells us to be or whatnot. And if you tune into that channel, what's not the channel we listen to, it can look a little bit more gray and white, a little more vanilla, not so many bright colors or magic moments. And sometimes it doesn't even feel like the painting you want to be drawing or you want to be creating.
Oh, many times. I mean, and I totally can relate to that too as part of my journey. For sure, for
Yeah.
sure. So many years were black and white,
Mm, mm,
grayscapes.
yeah.
Like literally, I feel like I lost years of my life not even remembering some of the
Yeah.
things that were happening because they were so not great.
Mm,
Right. But then at the same time, like in hindsight and through them, and generally through the darkness and out the other side, there was always this deep kind of knowing
mm.
that it was okay and it was all part of it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it was
Yeah.
all part of it.
Well, and some people just come out, kicking and feeling that path earlier than some others of us, I
Mhm.
think, I mean, there's some painters that like they come out and they just paint, or they're supposed to be a doctor and they just doctor, but they love it, not like a getting to a joyfully expression. And some of us, we try this or we try that, or we follow someone else's, well, maybe this will work for you, and it's like, oh, no, no, that's not what I want, right? And so all of it's great, and it gets us to where we are. And one of the things you and I see ourselves is like, if all of our listeners are a sound bowl, we're like ding, like, so this is another episode yet again of like ding, we want to ding your sound bowl and reawaken you to the inner vibration that you are. You're the inner artist, the sculptor, the painter, however you want to describe it, practicing the art of living. And what I think would be beautiful is if you share with people, let's talk about this journey that you've been on that most recently led you to a walking meditation, which you aren't likely to do. I've never known you to do a single moment of meditation, let alone a whole day. So what the heck got you there?
Totally.
Where were you? Paint the picture. So like, what is this place and who is this person that you went to see?
Well, I've got to go back a few years
Okay.
before I get
Yeah,
to what
yeah.
just transpired this weekend.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
I didn't really ever see or witness or have any understanding for my mother, but she, in a religious context, except for she was raised in England. Both of my parents were, they were children of the war, all kinds of crazy things were going on. And when they were growing up, my mom in particular was sent to Catholic schools. And so she had a very bad experience over the course of that time. And so was really
Mm,
anti-religion by
mm,
the time they immigrated to America and I was born on American soil. Religion was not at all part of my upbringing. And if anything, there was a real negative attitude and connotation around
yeah.
religious organizations and so forth. So never experienced any of that. But she had also, over the course of my lifetime, collected these little Buddhas. And
Oh,
so when she passed away, I received four of them. One is a
ah,
big garden one that I have that's kind of
ah,
crumbling and falling apart, but it's still really beautiful. And then these three little ones. So I have one right now actually on my desk,
yes, you
a
do.
wooden one.
Yes.
I have a jade one, and then I have a little stone one. And
Wow.
so it's ludicrous to me now why I never had conversations with her about why in the hell do you have these? Because I never saw her practicing Buddhism or anything. But I was having a
Ah,
conversation with my brother. It's like, how fascinating that we didn't know this piece of our mother. Anyway, so long story short, I always, after I inherited these and they became part of in my homescape in and around my life, I had some curiosities.
mhm,
And then I had some adult friends
mhm.
who I just love. They're just amazing humans in the world. They're just beautiful, amazing humans doing really magnificent work with their life. And they practice Buddhism. And
Mhm.
so I had some curiosities. I would have some conversations. There's lots of different types of
Yeah.
Buddhism to practice. And I found out a little bit, and then I read some books about the different types. So I was really just more like a curiosity, a learning. I'm a constant learner
Little osmosis
anyway.
from
I
people
want
around
to
you.
know about things in the world. And
Mm.
especially if there's some thread of it
Yeah.
where
Well,
it keeps reoccurring almost like it comes into my stream. The universe drops
mm,
things
mm,
into my space where it's like, okay, now I've heard about this 3 or 4 or 5 times. You've sparked my curiosity. Universe, you've got my attention.
Yeah, especially when it comes through people or from people that you admire and you respect or you love and, have affinity for. You're like, well, if that person is wonderful and I love them and they, are attracted to, whatever, a
Yeah,
musician, a piece of art or whatever, it's like, tell me more about that, right?
totally. It's like a
Yeah.
friend turning you on to a good book, like you said, a piece of music, a good movie. It's the same kind of thing. Like, oh, we share a value system and it
Hmm.
resonates. So maybe I'd be interested in this as well. So anyway, I started checking things out. And then I was listening to a podcast one day recently, and I heard this woman being interviewed, and she's a Buddhist nun. She's called Sister D. And so I bought her book. So I
Hmm.
have this book, Flowers in the Dark.
Flowers in the dark.
Okay.
Okay.
And she is a author, very talented author. And that interview, by the way, is on the 10% Happier
Oh, okay.
podcast.
Okay. Okay.
Dan Harris, 10% Happier. Her name is Sister D. And so that interview is on there if anybody wants to listen to it. I was listening to her while I was out doing my long walk, run, hike one day. And oh my gosh, just her energy coming through the
Mm.
broadcast was so beautiful. And she was in particular talking about this new book
Mm.
and trauma. So this is a book for healing trauma. And it's
Mhm.
basically, she's a doctor, an MD, and the integration of all of her knowledge of the human body and brain and how we function as humans,
Mm.
and then her Buddhist practices integrated into some ways for people to heal their trauma. And it's in this book. So it's really beautiful,
Wow.
highly, highly recommended. And I've been reading that. And in the course of reading that, following the thread,
Yeah.
I found out that there is a Buddhist monastery over the hill, 2 hours from me, the only one in California, by the way, and
Mm.
one of the very few in the United States of America
Right.
practicing this type of Buddhism.
Right.
And she often stays there.
Mm.
And I'm like, excuse me? I mean,
Hello.
obviously, I need to get in my car and drive over there. So, in doing my research, I realized that you can't just show up at these places. I mean,
It's like
that's
your
just,
house.
this is me learning, like
Yeah. Yeah.
how this all goes.
Yeah.
Um, and what I found is they do have some days that are open to the public. They call them mindful days. And basically, there's opportunities to come onto the property, be with the nuns,
Mm.
the monastics, the nuns, and the brothers, and basically the monks, and be with them in practice.
Wow.
So, of course, I immediately signed up for a ticket to go there. I mean, it was free, but like to be on the property and to
Yeah.
share the experience.
Yeah.
And that was just this last weekend. Yeah, it was super
Yeah.
cool. I went by myself and I just, like, again, I just followed my inner knowing, my
Hmm.
inner curiosity,
Hmm.
which in a way, of course, that's what we call a calling, or
Yeah.
that's what we call, the law of attraction, or however people perceive how the universe and them communicate.
Hmm.
Everybody has ideas about that. That we believe that there's energy, right? So I really feel a pull
Yeah.
to the understanding of these philosophies, this way of life. And when I learned the simplicity of it all, and I slowly
Mm.
have unpacked how incredibly simple it actually is, this practice,
Um,
that it's not, in fact, a religion,
mm.
it is a practice in the art of living. I was like, they're talking to me.
Yeah.
I already know this to be true. And pretty
Wow.
much everything I have read and experienced so far, I already knew to be true. Like these are
Hmm.
deep truths within me. So I think that
Hmm.
vibration is
Hmm.
stronger and stronger and stronger because it so resonates. There's no questioning. There's no, I don't understand. There's no resistance that
Hmm.
happens with a lot of religions and people in religions
Hmm.
with belief systems.
Well, yeah, it's like
There's
I
none of
find
that.
I find that there's a lot of people that like sinning. It's like, well, you wouldn't have sin if there weren't these expectations or like, things that people felt against, right? Whatever, call them moral or whatever, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. Um, And yet you see a lot of people doing those things, right? And so they're not in alignment with those ways of being. It's like, okay, well, maybe there's something else out there for you, or do you want to look at this? Is there something that's causing you to behave in this way? But what you're saying is like, it's just it's not a prescribed expectation like do and don't. It's like, hey, did you notice this about the world? Hey, did you notice like you're a being that has a life and a death? And I don't know, like teach us some of the things that you've discovered, and
Well, there are disciplines, so it isn't
Mhm.
like a completely untethered way of being.
Well, practicing. Obviously, there's some
It's,
discipline. If there's practice, it's like,
I mean,
okay, there's
in
like,
in fast summary, it's the discipline and practices around being a good human being.
mm, mm,
I mean, it's literally that simple. And I don't
mm.
know anybody who doesn't want to be a good human being. I mean,
Yeah,
even people who are committing horrible crimes, atrocities
yeah,
to other humans and animals and so forth, I believe at their core, they actually do not want to be
mm,
that person.
yeah, yeah, I agree. I think there's people that are healthy and unhealthy in their
Mhm.
mindset. Things have, traumatized them, or they are seeking out, patterns that are harmful to themselves and others, not because they necessarily want to. It's either a compulsion or a escape, or a
Yeah,
coping or something like that. So yeah, I
yeah.
love this practices in the way of living and disciplines, and what
Mhm.
that tells me is, there's levels to this, right? There's like, um, the more time you spend doing these things, the better you'll get at it. You're not expected to be just like, oh yeah, you just
That's
know
kind of
this
the
thing.
idea. It doesn't happen quickly though, but yes,
Yeah.
totally, totally.
So
So this
yeah.
is in particular the one I'm studying, the type of Buddhism, I should say, that I am studying and technically practicing. And apparently have been practicing for a really long time, and I've had no idea. It's Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, which a lot of people are
Oh
very
yeah.
familiar with. And the practice is the Plum Village practice.
Mm.
Plum Village is
Mm.
in France. It's the main monastery when everybody left. Yeah, I mean, that's where they went and started to, practice under him. But there's a whole history to all religions, including
Mm.
Buddhism. And in
Mm.
fact, it started on the Silk Road and it
Wow.
started in India, but then it quickly went to all the stands.
Mm.
So Iraq, Iran, and every single one of the stands, they were practicing
Mm.
Buddhism. And it was
Mm.
traveling along the Silk Road, not just there's three Silk Roads. One is on the water, and then one is over water, and one is through land.
Mm.
And as those humans were moving across these passages towards China, Buddhism was traveling with them.
Mm.
So the origins are not in China. It's just so much, it just blows your mind when you start thinking about these really incredibly beautiful humans of all types around the globe. This resonated with deep in their core who they wanted to be as humans
Mm.
in the world. And
Mm.
now we think of these countries as, poisoned and dangerous, and there is war and conflict, and there's atrocities happening, like I said. I mean, of course, but that way of living is all gone.
Mm. Mm. And I think when
Sadly.
it's interesting. I have a friend in Pakistan, and she's Muslim, and she's like one of the most gentle,
Mhm.
loving, caring people I know. And I'm
Mhm.
like, what I've heard of Muslim religion, I don't know enough about it because obviously she's amazing, and I'm just like,
Exactly.
there's more to the story, like the unfolding,
Always.
like study this. But with Buddhism, I haven't heard any bad things about Buddhism. Like I don't know of any warring Buddhists or
No, no.
aggressive. Let's just put it under aggressive. I don't know any aggressive. It's more, and it's not passive. I mean, it's quite active. The
Mhm.
practices are intentional. They're not just like passive,
Deeply,
like
deeply
lazy.
intentional. Oh
Yeah,
no.
deep intention. And especially, I mean, one of the hardest things I think they teach is about presence, like just
Mhm.
freaking being present. Like
Yeah. They use the
not
term mindfulness, right? I can read
mindful.
that real quick. Mindfulness, the natural capacity to be present
Mm.
and direct our attention, mindfulness of something, of our breath, of our steps, of our feelings, of our motivations,
Mm.
and so on. So being mindfulness, practicing mindfulness, which is, their biggest underscore, is like just have awareness, be freaking awake,
Mhm.
walk through life awake, know what's
Mhm.
happening. You and I talk about this every friggin' week. Know what's happening in your body. Know what's happening in your crazy mind and thoughts that are just running rampant, trying
Yeah.
to run the damn show. Like
Mhm.
if you don't have awareness, they run the show.
And
It's
I
all of this stuff that we live by really already.
and I think some of the practice, and I don't know it, and I'd love to hear more about your experience being around it, is it's a little bit of the slowing down because some of the fast pace, the speed of life, the distractibility, right? Like,
Slowing down, the prescription is simplicity at its utmost core. So
yeah.
being on this monastery, and you also know, listen, I've lived tiny. I love the simple life. Like it also resonates deep inside of me and has for a really long time. Like
Mhm.
if we're out, in a backpack and all we have is all of our belongings in a backpack, I couldn't be more thrilled that I just have all of my possessions are in this, 30-pound
Mhm.
pack or whatever, or in this small living space, or that
Mhm.
kind of lifestyle is so beautiful.
Mhm.
And that's how the monks and nuns live, of course,
Mhm.
because all of the extra stuff needs to be stripped away so they can make their practice their priority.
Mhm. Mhm.
That isn't realistic for most of us. We're still practicing our own living in the outside world where we're just bombarded with obligation and the economic status of our well-being and jobs and families and responsibilities and so forth. But in particular, in this type of Buddhism, basically what they're asking of us, lay people, is to practice. And what we mean is like study the practice and learn about it. And
Mhm.
then for an hour a day, and then spend the next 7 hours practicing the thing, whatever that
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
Whether it's one of the disciplines or one of the philosophies or one of the teachings. There's so many that you can, whatever really interests you. There are some basics, and like I said, the learning and the understanding and the exploring is ways to live as a great human. I mean, it's really that
Mhm.
simple. This book look at this one I'm reading. The 8 Realizations of Great Beings.
Mhm.
What? Okay, and I
That's just
found
like, what is that? What
this
talk?
is so
Yeah.
good. And
Is
I
that from
heard,
her too, or something else?
no,
No.
no, I should put that up.
Brother Fab Pi, it says. Okay, got it.
The 8 Realizations of Great Beings. This is like the core foundational 8 things to understand to be a good person.
Mm, mm,
Literally.
mm,
It's so simple. I mean, there's
mm.
nothing crazy going on here at all.
Do,
This is all
do,
stuff we all know, by the way.
do you have them, or do you know a couple of them that you could share with us, or I could look them up? The eight. Yeah.
Okay, I can read them. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The first realization, it's called the 4 foundational insights.
Oh, yes.
So
Okay.
basically, it's insights about knowing the self. The second realization, the nature of desire.
So know thyself, the nature of desire.
Mhm. Third realization, basic and simple. So it's a way of living, keeping your life very simple, your needs simple, your lifestyle basic. And really, it's so you don't have distractions,
Hmm.
right? The fourth realization, good energy. Ooh, that's probably going to be your favorite, Polly.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Love it.
The fifth realization, this is what you're deep into right now.
Oh,
Deep listening and vast learning.
oh, okay. Deep listening and vast learning. Huh. Okay.
The
Okay.
sixth realization, love, generosity, and forgiveness.
Mm,
The
wow.
seventh realization, be free where you are.
Wow.
And then the eighth realization, befriend all living things. I
Um,
mean, what? Dude.
Okay. Say them again. Know thyself. Was that the first one? Know thyself.
Yeah. It's
Mm,
called the four foundational insights, but it's basically you understanding your, it's called interbeing. So
mm,
interbeing is the term that's used, and it's about us, you, me, each of us humans, whoever's listening, interbeing, understanding we are simply one cell in the body of all.
got it. Yeah. Yeah.
We are all part of everything.
Yeah. Aren't we though? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And then
I don't know if I teach that in the Bible in the I don't know. Maybe I haven't read it, but that sure is I mean, if nothing else, the more we learn about metaphysics, the more we know they're pointing to that.
exactly,
Science is pointing back to this
it's
truth.
called real science.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. That's the next one.
The nature of desire.
True desire. Interesting way of saying that. Hmm.
It's like the things that our nature as a human species
Hmm. Hmm.
and things that drive us and motivate us, and how to understand that, not let our desires manage us.
I was just going to say, when you said earlier, like it stuck out at me, mindful of your motivations.
Mm-hmm.
Like that phrase, mindful of your motivations. If nothing else, I have a feeling the root of so much suffering and just anything that's not workable in your life, there is a motivation that you're unaware of or haven't yet tapped into or is running you instead of you being mindful of it, something like that. And I'm saying you, but like me too. So I
Yeah,
love
and they talk about all things, money, food, sex, any and all things that people feel, and what can become dysfunctional very
Mhm,
easily, that
mhm,
start to take over and rule their motivation. The third is basic and simple. So basically, it's a way of living and
mhm,
understanding what your true needs are. The
mhm,
fourth is good energy.
mm.
It's so cute because we did this walking meditation, I'll tell you, but then they kept saying, after, they would sort of prompt us before and after things, but in between everything was silence. But make sure you smile.
Mm.
They're so beautiful, these monks and nuns walking around in their robes, totally bald, smiling. Everybody's smiling. I couldn't help
Mm.
but smile. That's the whole
It's
point.
very contagious. Totally.
Totally. Deep listening and vast learning.
Mm.
Oh gosh,
So good.
I'm so into learning right now.
Mm.
Love, generosity, and forgiveness.
Very good words. I love those.
Be free where you are,
Mm.
and then befriending all living things.
Mm.
So good. So I end up at this monastery,
Yeah.
and I had no idea what to expect. And also, this is a little bit how I live, but how I want to be consciously living more of
Mm.
is following these callings, these interests, these curiosities, that energy pull, and then just totally having an open mind. I don't know what to expect, not a lot of planning, just, because I've lived most of my life
Show up.
not that way,
Mm.
out of necessity or survival or fear based or anxiety, and trying to like squelch all that. So, using my mind to control things or plan things or structure things to create more comfort
Mm.
in
Or
the unknown.
certainty. Yeah.
Well, certainty is a joke because that never really worked out, but definitely pretending that
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
had any clue what might be happening or that I had some control over it.
Yeah.
And the older I get, the less I give two shits about that. But also, I don't really want to be living that way every day because it's so confining. It's
Mm.
so restricting. It
Mm.
causes so much more stress, right?
Mm.
Because things never really go as planned. I'm a list
Yeah.
queen and I'm a schedule queen, all these things. But I find that as I age, I do want less of that.
Hmm.
And I want more free flow in my
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
to be able to be aware and have time and space and stuff like that. So I drive there by myself and I get to the gate. So this is back in the East County of San Diego. And so I went
Hmm.
through these neighborhoods and then I'm on these dirt roads. And then I'm basically coming to this back kind of like wild country where there's all these mountains and stuff. And there's a gate and the gate's closed,
Mm.
but there's no cars there or anything. And I mean, I'm kind of on time, at least what it says that the property opens, a few minutes early or whatever, just how I like to do things. I'm always a little bit early. And then and so I'm just kind of parked there, like, I don't really know what to do. I guess I'll just wait and see if someone comes to open the gate. So I wait, and then another car comes. And so I get out and I talk to these people behind me, and I said, do you know what we're supposed to do? And they said, no, we don't know. We've never been here.
Never been here before.
And they drove up all the way from LA, or I guess down from LA. And so we're like, well, we'll just wait and see if someone comes to open the gate. And then at 8 o'clock, the gate just opens. Nobody comes, but the gate just opens, and we're like, oh my God, that's so cool. We're going in. Wow. So we drive slowly down this really, horrible road. It's bumpy, and it's like, we're just going into the wild here, basically. But it's a beautiful piece of property in the mountains there, just full of natural plant life and scrub and all that kind of stuff. And we're just kind of winding up and
And you
down.
said on this day it was like foggy, right? Like
It was so foggy, and it was sprinkling.
Yeah.
But the fog was so dense you could barely see. It was really magical and totally beautiful. And then just kind of a light drizzle, not anything too crazy, but just enough to get you, like, your car wet and things like that. And as I am winding through the property, there's nobody around except for this car that's following me. And for all I know, we're the only two people that are going to be here today. I don't know. And then I see one of the nuns literally on the road running. She's jogging along. Da 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 dee, da da, just getting her morning exercise.
I'm sure she's not in her Lululemons or something like that.
No,
Right?
no, they're in full
Yeah.
dress. They dress very conservatively, and they have brown robes and hats and all the things. But she's just jogging along, and I'm like, she's a runner. There's a run club here. Totally. Anyway, went and parked. Again, there's nobody in the entire place. This other car comes and parks. And we just get out, and we don't really even know where to go. I mean, there really is very little signage, and their signage is more like messaging and quotes and things that are just more beautiful and inspiring. So the other people are kind of messing around their car, figuring out if they should have an umbrella and jackets and whatever their thing is. And I just got out and started walking up the road, because I figure, well, park here, you walk up the road. Maybe on top of the hill is like a check-in office or something. Anyway, I walk up this hill, and I see another person, a lay woman also, who's a little bit further up. And I don't know how she got in, because I didn't see her before me, if she was staying there or whatever, but she's in layperson's clothes. And she's just walking up the hill. So I just decide I'm going to follow her. And there's an office, and it says check in, and there's a bookstore, and there's a few like buildings starting to pop up. So I go that way, but she just keeps walking up the mountain, like onto the dirt road and like into away. And I'm like, all right, I don't think we're supposed to go there, but she must know what she's doing. Anyway, there's not a human around.
Wow.
Nothing, everything's closed. I don't see and I'm like, what is going on? Not a soul.
I love the unknowingness. It's
so
not
I'm
like
kind of wandering around, and I didn't feel nervous or scared or uncomfortable or whatever. I'm just looking at the gardens and kind of just
peaceful with
walking
the whole
around.
thing. Yeah.
And so I basically kind of hung out in this really beautiful garden in the monks' hamlet. So where the men live in one area and the nuns live in a separate area, because they practice chastity, and they don't none of this mixing of sexes and different things like that. But nobody ever came. So now it's like 8:30. This thing is going to be starting supposedly. I mean, they let you on, but then there's like a schedule for the day that they sent us, walking meditation. So then I just started to walk back down the hill, and I totally was blown away, because I come walking back down the hill, and there's all these people walking up now. So I just was an early bird. But there's over 100 people.
Oh, geez. All of a
Walking
sudden.
up to where the first practice.
Check-in was.
It wasn't even a check-in. Nobody ever checked us in.
Okay.
Nothing. Basically, there was a circle that had formed. There was a couple monks and many nuns, and basically they were going to facilitate the morning practice, which is a walking meditation. And basically everyone's kind of standing around and very quiet and peaceful, and 100 and something strangers, here we are.
Wow.
And there's the nuns and the monks, and everyone's just in silence, just basically hanging out, waiting. And it's like everybody else knew what was going to happen. And I was like, I don't know what we're going to do, but I'm totally in.
Mm.
It's so liberating to do stuff like that, by the way.
I was gonna say, what a
Show up.
beautiful, not intentional making you uncomfortable, but just like, yeah,
Curiosity.
yeah, like this is happening and they weren't in control of you, but they were, in their own way signaling to you, this is okay. Like,
Yeah, and what I quickly figured out or summarized in my own brain, because I make things up whether they're true or not, like we all do, is that, oh, everybody seems to know what we're doing. I just don't because I'm new, but like, whatever. I'm just
Mhm.
going to follow suit. Like, I'm so open to experience
Mhm.
whatever is going to happen today. I'm just like totally have zero agenda or expectations. None.
Yeah.
So one monk starts and basically they start singing songs, which I don't know any of these songs, but it's totally fine. I'm just listening, and half of them seem to know, and half of them. So people are singing, and they're just kind of creating an energy, a space
Mhm.
for everybody to be in the circle together.
Mhm.
And it was really beautiful, totally beautiful.
Mhm.
Now it starts raining and it's kind of drizzling, and then after that, another monk speaks, and he's going to be the one to lead the walking meditation. Again, I have no idea what to expect, but basically, he instructs us. He was so hilarious, by the way. They're really funny.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
a lot of how they deliver themselves to the world and to the public, and just who they really are at their core, is very humorous and lots
Yeah.
of joy and lots of
Yeah.
smiles and all that stuff. Not, it didn't ever feel intense or intimidating or judgy or strict. Like there was just this very giggly,
Because,
almost giggly.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
because
he
they're
was
living
hilarious. I can't remember half of what he said, but it was comical. Like he
it's
was like a
joyful
comedian.
living. Yeah, joyful living has laughter and smiles in it
Yeah,
instead of, strict and punishment and you're doing it wrong or judging and all that. No, no,
none of that.
nothing.
So he
Yeah.
took us on a walking meditation, and basically 125 or something of us walked for an hour in silence, one footstep at a time, very slowly. And
Mhm.
all we focused on was our own breath. That was it.
Wow. Wow.
And we walked out of that area, up the road again. It's quite steep. I mean, this is all mountainous area, onto a dirt trail
Wow.
and up to the top of a mountain. And I thought, are some of these people going to make up the mountain? I mean, it was all different ages and shapes and sizes and
Yeah.
you name it. And to the top of the mountain. And then again, no one is saying a word, nothing, zero, complete silence.
100 people. Yeah.
More than 100 people. It was just the most interesting experience.
Hmm.
And then at the top, everybody stopped, and there were some statues and some things going on up there. It was quite beautiful, and the view and everything. And a lot of people observed the view. And some people sat down and did some prayers or whatever they did, their process. And then we turned around and walked back. That
Hmm.
was it. The
Huh.
whole thing in silence. And it was at least an hour long. And we
Wow.
walked back to exactly where we started. And then we got on with the rest of the day.
I was going to say, was there any sharing or did he tell you
No,
what to
absolutely
pay
not. They didn't.
attention to? Or it's just like, this is what we're doing and do it. And then you,
Breathe.
yeah,
The
great.
instructions were focus on your breath.
Hmm.
And he did give an instruction of like, ideally, you would walk 3 steps with an in breath and 3 steps with an out breath. But
Hmm.
it wasn't like a strict thing that this is how you had to do it or not. When we
Mhm.
came back, then basically they explained the rest of the day. So there would be a Dharma talk
Hmm.
in the main hall, which was right there. And it was absolutely beautiful. I've got some pictures I'll show you. Just friggin'
Um,
gorgeous. A Dharma talk is basically a sharing of the learnings,
hmm.
right? And anytime there's a Dharma talk, it's somebody is imparting their wisdom upon not only the brothers and the sisters, but the laymen that are in the environment also, or the practicing Buddhists that are there, right? So it's just part of them learning
Mhm.
more and exploring. So, and that was hilarious. He basically talked about nutrition for the body.
Ah,
And I thought this was going to be a very spiritual thing. By the way, he didn't speak English, he
oh,
spoke only Vietnamese. So the whole thing was in Vietnamese, but we had a translator and we
oh,
had an
wow.
earpiece that we wore that translated it into English as he spoke. I'm telling you, the whole thing was just beautiful.
Wow.
He was
Wow.
hilarious.
Wow.
The monk that was up there
Yeah.
sitting. So, and just for an hour, he spoke to us, his Dharma
Wow.
talk.
Wow.
And it was funny and joyful and
Hmm.
curious. And So I thought he was going to talk about like spiritual nutrition and things like that. No, he talked about food
Huh.
and how they're going to start farming and growing their own food,
Oh,
and how he
wow.
was the shopper of food for the entire community,
Wow.
and what that meant to him and how he felt about that, and how they fed themselves, and how it became funny. Sometimes people wouldn't eat, and sometimes they'd eat more than they should, and they'd run out of food, and sometimes they didn't like the food. I mean, it was just very like about real life, because they're real humans living there, having a
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
but how they use their practice to handle these things
Hmm.
and how this went.
Hmm.
The whole thing was quite entertaining.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
then
good.
when that was done, we took a break, and we then came back into the room, because it's raining and people are outside kind of milling around and then going to the bathroom or whatever. And they had rearranged the room for the actual like service, if you will, if you think of it more as a traditional service. And so then it felt like more of a traditional religious experience at that point, because the monks and the nuns were like in formation and they were in front. We were all seated on
Hmm.
mats. By the way, I can't believe I sat on the floor for hours and hours and hours.
Nice.
It was
Nice.
terribly uncomfortable in many moments, and I
Yeah.
had to squirm around quite a bit because this body and these hips are not quite, but
Yeah.
it was still really good for me to like, okay, let me see how this feels. Um, but there was singing, and
Mhm.
really they were reading. So we all had a book and we could read. It was in different languages, including English. But they didn't read it, they sang it.
Wow.
So everything was not a chant, but it was literally like they were singing
Huh.
the words of the script, if you will, or however you want to
Mhm.
perceive the.
The blessings or the teachings or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Huh.
was amazing. And so
Wow.
then we went through what's was called the 15 disciplines, and basically it
Mm.
was like what we were speaking about earlier.
Mm.
This is
Mm.
how we choose to live our life, and these are things we should be all practicing as a community.
Mm. Mm.
And it would say for laymen, it's this, and for the monks or the monastics, which is the nuns and the monks, it's this. So it would have to, like, obviously we laymen are married, we have relationships, we're producing children, so there were some instances where it would describe the disciplines, but one
Mm.
way of life for the layman and
Mm.
one for the other, that kind of thing.
Mm.
It was
Mm.
fascinating, dude. It was fascinating.
So,
And then we had lunch,
oh,
which was vegetarian, of
I
course,
was gonna
and
say much
also
like
it
it.
was
Yeah.
totally in silence.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then everybody washed their dishes themselves,
Mm-hmm.
put them away, and then basically the day was over, and I just went to the bookstore and bought this book, and a lot of people just kind of hung out on the property. It was really
Mm.
awesome.
Yeah, so as you were driving away or just walking back down the hill, what was coming to you? Were you pondering anything? Were you reflecting on anything? Any things that you've discovered since then? What
I
did you?
mean, I it's not any different than how it already was before or after, is that I still have just this curiosity.
Yeah.
And I think it was really incredibly enjoyable to be in such a beautiful place
Mhm.
with these beautiful humans. I mean, surrounded by people. So, and the people who were there to also visit, like me, I mean, there was every shade of color of skin, every different type of person,
Mhm.
every age group. And you just felt that everybody was there with this intention of love for
Mm.
themselves and each other,
Mm.
and just wanting to be really free. I
Mm.
mean, that's really what it felt like.
Wow.
And that's the environment that was created, even when there's certain disciplines and certain practices, the whole thing is a practice in the art of living, right? Of course, we're
Yeah,
going to be practicing here.
right.
Everybody's practicing. We're just practicing, just showing up to practice.
All the time.
Yeah. I want to
Times.
read this one thing because
Yeah.
it's in this book, and I highlighted it for a reason because I just think it's so beautiful. But I continue to be really empowered by this curiosity I have, and then this
Mm.
study, particularly of Buddhism, and then
Mm.
just deciding to see where this goes.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
have no idea where this is
Yeah.
going to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have no
It's
expectations at all.
it's just unpacking more of you, really. I mean,
Exactly.
it's just giving
It's
you a little bit of framework or a little bit of roadmap or some hints or some ideas or things you might try on, wherever you get your inspiration, we talk about my cards, my little tarot cards and stuff. It's like
Mhm.
each card has little insights or whatever, or you could have a poetry book, or you could listen. Like I have a dear friend who's really getting into music right now, writing music and creating music. And it's like, whatever that nurtured you, right?
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
creating time and space for the curiosity that you
Mm,
have about yourself
mm, mm.
and understanding yourself. Is there nothing more important, by the way? I mean,
Totally.
what in the hell? We think all these things we run around and
Mm,
spend time, energy, and money on are
mm,
really important.
mm.
What in the hell have we got ourselves terribly confused about? I mean, it's just so nutso.
And I think one of the things that I like about what you're sharing that's coming to me as you talk, and I just look at my life and the things that I've been curious about and have pursued or whatever, is it's like our life has a certain percentage of it where it's us with us. And then it has a certain percentage where we're with us with other people, one person, a whole bunch of people, new people, same people, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think what I have discovered for myself, and as you were talking, I was like, these approaches, these insights, these callings that we have
Mhm.
help us when we're with ourselves, know ourselves, because we're all, if you ask me, seeking to be better versions or the real us with each other,
Mhm.
and it's like, um, I'm studying all this communication stuff because communication is me out in the world, right? And I have those breakdowns
Interacting with others.
interacting with others. And I find it fascinating when I have these breakdowns. It's like some of it is what I'm listening for. I have a paradigm or whatever that's broken down inside me that have made this person up to be this certain way, and then that they're that certain way. And so I listen to them that way, right? Or I have a paradigm inside of me that I'm this way, or something's wrong with me, or whatever, and then I act from that. And often it's subconscious, it's kind of running the show. And we get these interactions breaking down. So that's just one dimension of the things that I've been looking into about myself. And, all these things is, I think the us that is who we are when we're alone wants to be with the collective us, more joyfully, more wholly, more heartfully, more, I know, and the word more isn't it, just fully, like
Mm.
fully from our heart, fully ourselves, fully interconnected, like they talk about, like you said, befriending all living things, love, generosity, forgiveness. It's like, that's, if you ask me, there's all of everything else is just shit on top of the truth. And it's like the truth of who you are. I just see it over and over again, whether it's my spiritual work or whatever, it's the essence of every soul is love. And
Mm.
anything else is just a distraction or something. But when you get to the core, and you get one-on-one with every human being, if you can get them to peel away everything, there really is only love, and me and all the NDE stuff that I've been studying with near death. It's like you pop out
Mhm.
of this body, like boom, once you're out, it's all a joy love fest. It's like, oh my God, I feel amazing, love, love, love. And it's like if we can remember that when we're inside of this form and then be that with each other, that's
Mhm.
really what I think we're all seeking. And then there's stuff that gets in the way, the busyness and stuff. And what I most love about Buddhism or any practice that is a slowing down, is a quieting, is a simplifying, is, hey, remember you and remember them. And you're interconnected, and love is what is between you.
Mhm. What is so awesome is at the core of any type of practice like this, whether it's this or any other type of spiritual journey people might be on, whatever they choose, is a desire to get to know the self and understand the self, right? And then your place in the world and with others. And in that, finding that really unconditional love and acceptance first of the self, because you can't give it to anybody else if you don't have it for yourself.
Mhm, mhm,
And so suffering is really that.
mm, mm,
Suffering gets created from people creating conflict with others and in the world and misunderstandings, all these things, miscommunications. But it comes from within each of the individual humans,
mm,
right? So they're walking around carrying their own suffering and then they just basically throw it at other people.
mm,
And then next thing you know, we have arguments and we have wars and we have
mhm,
all kinds of things that are going on in the world right now because that one person didn't take the time to do the work to
mhm,
make peace with really knowing themselves.
mm.
And so they
Eh,
carry that all around and throw it at other people. It's really
mhm,
quite simple
mhm.
and
Yeah,
ridiculous that it can't be resolved.
yeah, because I think, and this is no judgment on anything that anyone would ever want in the world, but the varying levels of wanting or varying levels of acting out or varying levels of pursuing things. um sometimes, like you like to get up to hiking or whatever. Like we just love to feel good and stuff. But some of these things that we've got ourselves distracted with is because it's an escape from, or not really realizing what's inside of us and what could truly authentically be between a human being and a human being if we're not faking something, carrying something, holding on to something misguided inside. It's like the true nature of who we are is I'm love, you're love, and we're love together. And it's
Mhm.
like everything else that's just on top of it. And if we know that, then it's like, sweet, go do those. Like one of the things you and I have been talked about in the past is like the unconditional love of friendship, right?
Mhm.
And the friends that we have and that see anything and everything that we're up to is like, it's unconditional. Get after it. Like,
Hmm.
whatever you're
Exactly.
doing, and then there's the conditional that we sometimes have with some people in our life that aren't, kind of tuned into their love and the love that every human can have.
Religion can be the same way.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
Judgy,
you're in a
judgy.
practice of any sort that has conditions to it, or a relationship
Yeah.
with your practice or other people, where are there conditions? That's not love.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's an obligation made out
Misguided.
of judgment and fear and shame.
Hmm.
I mean, we should all be running the other way
Get
from those
back to love. Let's get back to love. Somehow some Beatles songs are going through my head right now.
all you
Imagine,
need
imagine all the people,
So Buddhism also is a psychology. It's a psychology, which I'm really big on
Mm,
understanding the mind,
mm,
what makes humans tick.
yeah.
And it's like, why do we do the things we do? And there's no judgment at all. It's literally like, huh, that's interesting. Humans seem to do these things.
Yeah.
Wonder why. And then let's
Ah,
have a conversation about it. And then I wonder why, maybe if we wanted to change those behaviors because they weren't good for
mm,
ourselves or humanity or the planet,
yeah.
how would we go about dealing with that? Okay, here's a few
Practice.
practices. Literally.
Practices.
Yeah, it's so, dude, it's so simple. It's so simple. And it's just, yeah, it's fun.
Mm, mm.
It's fun.
That's and that's really it. I mean, life is not meant to be this voracious
No,
torment of
no.
suffering, right? It's created by us because we're absent to the love, and it's
Mhm.
like you have love inside and you have love and you see love in other people and it's flowing. Hey, that's pretty fun. Like, let
Move towards it. And
and
then you and I want to be, whatever, call it disciples or whatever. We want to be people out in the world delivering this to other humans.
especially the
So
fun.
we feel it, we taste it. We are not every day up in it. Like we have our struggles. This is going to be forever until the day we die. That's why it's called a practice, because we're
Mhm.
going to be practicing for a long time, my friend. But we also want to help bring it to other people as an option, as an opportunity.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we show up into our work life or into our relationship life, and we want to be the one delivering the
Mhm.
possibility for the other human who we're
Invi-
looking into their eyes.
an invitation.
An invitation.
we're an invitation to love and to
Yeah,
simplify and to let go of the meaning and the story and the judging and whatever else is in the way of the love between you and that
yeah,
human, right?
yeah.
And to practice, and I think the more people feel on a vibration with somebody, or they're like, oh yeah, that person, I just knew them or something like that. The easier it is to welcome that love from that
Hmm.
person. It's like, oh, I just feel like I've known you my whole life, kind of feeling. It's
Hmm.
like, oh, it, and I think the beauty of these humans in the world that practice the deep, deep practice in these monasteries is to show us like, they welcome anyone to come onto that property. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
come, they don't have a list of nope, can't do
And it
it.
was free. It's
Yeah,
free.
yeah.
Dude, they never collected money, never asked for money. There's no even conversation. Fed us, taught us, invited us onto the property, hosted us. They're building a farm there, which I'm going to try and
Mm,
see if my husband can get involved in that because he knows a lot about farming and they want to grow their
mm,
own vegetables. And they're
mm.
like, just come be with us for a little while and help us farm. Anybody want to
Yeah.
farm some vegetables? All right, I got calling. I'm sending calling and I'll pull the weeds. I don't know how to grow anything, but but I mean, what?
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
it's so good. And it's just those places in the planet that center and ground the rest of us that
Oh,
are
beacons of
distracted.
light.
Mhm, mhm. Always there for us. Yeah.
It also helps me really understand. So I did forget a piece of the story,
Oh.
which is when I first had my health, mental and physical health crisis, and I was
Mm,
coming out of that, I started to study holistic health as a way to
mm.
heal my body and brain that were
Yeah,
broken.
yeah.
And on that journey, I got exposed to spirituality, which I really
Mm,
didn't know anything about. And then on that journey, I got exposed to meditation and even what that was. So I did take some meditation classes, the traditional kind where you sit on the
mhm.
mat and then do these things and you got mantra and all this stuff. Oh my, I could not do it. Couldn't do it.
Same, I know.
And then I started studying
Mm, yeah,
Ayurvedic medicine as part, which is ancient from India, to try and understand the healing of my body. I wanted to naturally figure
yeah,
this out, healing.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I went to the Deepak Chopra Center and I met Deepak Chopra and David Simon. It was amazing. And I was trying to heal this really toxic, poisoned body and brain that I had. And I had some great experiences there with them and
Mm,
also in that.
mm.
But I'm just sort of laughing at and after that, I said, well, I could never meditate. I just can't because I can't sit in one place and I don't like it. It's uncomfortable and I'm on the floor and I can't get in that position, like all these stories, right?
Mhm,
And then here I find this type of Buddhism where
mhm.
walking meditation is their primary
You're already
choice.
meditating. I was
And I'm
telling my,
like, you want to know how many thousands of miles I have been in walking meditation? Literally for
yeah,
25 freaking years,
yeah.
I have been doing walking meditations, sometimes slow, sometimes fast, but I listen to my breathing.
Hmm.
I listen to nature. I allow my body
Oh,
and
yeah.
brain to process all the complications of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I arrive back a better person
How
every
about a
time.
prayer? Exactly.
I call it the church of sweat, like that's
Yeah.
what it is for me. But
Hmm.
little did I know there was going to be something later in life I would discover where that was just perfectly acceptable. I didn't have to sit on the mat for 2 hours and
Right.
chant a mantra and whatever, whatever.
Well, I think I want to say a couple things about that. So so on Sunday when you were there, I was with my one of my Buddhist friends, and I was
Mm.
telling her, I was like, "Oh, my friend Samantha, she's at this monastery. I think she's going to do a walking meditation." And I described it, and I said, and she probably is going to learn that like she's been fucking meditating for like most of her life. Like she doesn't realize it, but I think she's going to find that out because guess what? And I want to tell a little bit of my meditation journey if I could,
Okay. Yeah.
because I haven't really gotten too much into Buddhism, although I have a funny story now that you were telling your
Well,
story. I was
you're
like,
already living it. I listen, I know you incredibly well. You've been living it way longer than I've been living it. So anyway, okay, go.
I can remember, I think this was shortly after college. I moved to Berkeley, which is a very hippified place. And this was in the early 90s, so it wasn't the 60s. This is, fast forward a little bit, but still had some hippifiedness for sure. And I can't even remember. You talk about the calling, like you pick up a book or something. I was like, I found myself. I mean, it's everywhere, but I mean, it's like all, like now it's you can get yoga and healthy food stores and smoothies and stuff all over the US. Well,
That was not a thing
this was
until
not a
the
thing in the
last, yeah,
90s. Yeah,
no.
the 90s, this was a place that looks like a lot of, Santa Barbara and, these San Diego, whatever now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was like, oh, sweet, check it out, and I wasn't all hippified. I just got out of college, I was like business major, whatever. I can't even remember how
You
how
show
did it,
up in your polo shirt and your penny loafers. Hey, what's up?
probably. So that night, I get to this room that's upstairs and, free, come on in. And there's just chairs. I can't remember. There was hundreds of chairs. How many people were there? I don't know. And it was there for meditation. I was like, meditation, never heard of this thing, right? And they hand me, or I think there was two of them that they practice. One was with a candle. So they hand you a candle and like look at the light and just
Focus on that.
quiet your mind, right?
Yeah.
That was not happening in this spot. I was like, what the frickin', my mind was just going. Next one was here's a flower, like just a little daisy. And then just look at the daisy. And I walked out of there and I can't think of a face that I saw in the room or what it was. I mean, maybe it was Buddhist. I have no idea. But I was like, damn, that meditation thing, I just don't think I can get it. Like I gave it a good college try. I did 2 hours or, 1 hour in the flower or whatever. I was like, fast forward, like, I don't even know, 5 years later. So I was in I wasn't living in Berkeley. I was living somewhere else in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. And I liked taking little night classes. Like I took a class, this was like pre-internet. I took a class on the internet and I took a class on computer, like that little continuing ed. So there was a class on guided meditations. And I was like,
Okay.
what if I should take this guided meditation thing? I was like, and we get into this little room, and I want to say there's maybe 10 of us, and what he did was turn out the lights, just get comfortable in your chair. And he just told us a story. And he just took us on a guided visualization meditation.
Nice.
Samantha, blew my mind. I could not wait every week to come back to that guided meditation. He'd take us on little paths through the forest and out into, and like you said, you go out on your run and you come back at the end and you're a better human. I would walk out of there with my heart not even in my body. It was like, it was in the room. It was like palpable, probably. It's like, okay, well, she's obviously opened up, and I was like, what is this guy? And I wouldn't say that like, oh, I didn't become a nun. I didn't like go after it or whatever. But I always remember that. And, fast forward many, many years later. So now I don't sit with candles. I'm not, there's stuff I've tried. Like I remember 10 years ago, oh, I want to do this meditation again, get my miracle morning going. Okay. And I would just sit there with like nothing for 5 minutes, the 5 or 10 minute quiet meditations. It was a non-starter for me. It just was like, this is not, and so I finally found my way. I was like, how do I want to do this? Just trying different things. And I finally nowadays, part of my, and it changes, but part of my practice now is I listen to a little bit of a prompting for questions of remembering times of love and gratitude in my life. And so I really just get in a space of gratitude and love. And then I do there's a particular song that I like that has no words. It's a woman's voice or whatever. And it just opens my heart and I just let whatever's there for 5 minutes. Like, sometimes who knows? Maybe I'm talking to my guides, maybe I'm not. Sometimes I'm just receiving things. Sometimes it's like I hear things. Sometimes I just focus on somebody in my life that I love and I'm just winging it. Who knows? But it's that time, that center time of like me and all me or whatever. And it damn well feels good. So who cares?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And the other interesting thing about this religion is you don't have to be invited.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a religion. I have to stop saying
Yeah. It's not. It's a practice. Yeah.
You don't have to be invited. Even to become a monastic, it's by choice.
Yeah.
You're not recruited. There isn't some kind of qualification, resume, certain like
a calling. Yeah.
they're actively recruiting, by the way. Like, please, anybody, like, right, we got to heal the world. Right now, we're in a bit of a global crisis, right? And the people are really intelligent. Oh man, the amount of stuff going on in these brains.
Wow.
And so many of them are authors and poets and artists, and it's just crazy.
Wow.
It's really beautiful. But for you, it's so funny because, yeah, I do think of you as, I mean, you've just been practicing this way of life for a really, really long time. And
Mm.
you and I both came to, art as,
Life.
our life being art, and this
Mhm.
practice in the art of living through
Mhm.
pain and suffering
Mm.
is
Mm.
how we discovered that we were the artists of our own life.
Mm. Mm.
Not because somebody blessed us on the head and sent us into a building and, whatever the hell. We literally came to it,
Yeah.
are in it through pain and suffering.
Mhm. And I think it's the tuning in that you and I have chosen to do. We just keep dialing back into ourselves and tuning into, like I said in that earlier, is like what excites you? Like what turns you on? What interests you? What are you fascinated by? What are you hungry about? What are you
Yeah.
open to? And do that. Like, oh, like I can remember getting sporadic, I'm gonna go to this place and I'll just go there, and sometimes, like your experience was heartfelt and beautiful that you shared about this past weekend. And sometimes I'll just go there. I'm like, oh, it was a little like flat, but
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
supposed to go there, like, okay, I did whatever. And I just follow that trusting of
Yeah.
the steps that you took were the steps that you were supposed to take, the people that you met along the way, the confusion, am I in the right place? Is this all there is? Or that was amazing. Any degree of that is part of your art journey.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because I have a feeling if you interview any artist, whether actor, painter, whatever, like there's no perfect always. Like they're not always just like singing with the writers, they get that writer's block, or the painters get, frustration, the piece isn't quite finished or done, or, it's not, or they're not inspired or whatever. And yet they still get back at the paint or the pen.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's us being in our life, right? Is like, oh, I'm going to stay curious. And right now I'm in the conversation called team and managing and leadership and communications. And that just feels like enlivening. And underneath it, I know is the core of love, because I know this organization. I'm like, they're up for people having greatness, like themselves be great and loving themselves. So, and
Yeah.
yours,
And being
Paul.
around that community.
Yeah, yeah. And knowing that, like, I'm doing the practicing, like really this year of this
Hmm.
work with this group is this team I'm on is practicing communication, and in such a loving environment. They're like there's this gal, so they rotate every quarter who's the leader of the team, if you will. And so I just came in this quarter two weekends ago, and so this new leader, but I think she's a Thai, and so English isn't her first language,
Hmm.
and so she's fumbling some words or whatever, but like the love of the community, that is like she's so put herself on the line and so wants this growth in this direction. She doesn't want to, like, her daughter killed herself 6 years ago. So she's like, I lost myself, she just lost who she was. And when she did some of these courses, she found herself again. And now she's like, and now I want to be out in the world. I want to be with people. I don't want to be hiding out. That did happen. That was tragic. That was traumatic, that whatever, but it doesn't mean my life ends. I'm still here. What can I learn and grow from? And so she's just putting her out in this container of love where people are like, okay, she's not doing it perfectly. Okay, whatever. It's like she's practicing her what she wants to overcome, what she wants to be up to and be about, right? And it gives us all permission to.
It gives us all permission.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because if other people around you in your space, in your life, are willing to just show up, no matter how messy, imperfect, chaotic, all the things, you'll do the same damn thing,
Mhm, mhm.
you know? And
Yeah.
God, the liberation that comes with that is just phenomenal, really.
Yeah. Wow. So, whew, this is
Yeah.
just sweet. Well, I just really want to encourage anybody, whether you got like, oh, maybe try on meditation or pick up one
Yeah,
of these books that
whatever.
Samantha's talked about. So, what's our
The
one
sutras.
thing? The
Well, I want to
sutra.
read this. This will be
Yeah,
my closing one thing.
do it. Ding, 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 ding.
And these are called sutras. So basically, anytime you're reading any of the teachings,
Okay.
basically. So this is one of the things that was says that I was like, oh, this sounds like what we live and breathe every day. You're going to love this. And they call it on the path, right? We call it the work, they call it the path.
Mm.
Please notice that I say a way, not the way on the path. There are thousands of pathways up the mountain, and all of them have the potential to reach the summit. I feel that the role of a good spiritual friend is to help create an environment in which the other person can discover ways to transform their situation for themselves. This is empowerment. This is why we're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't think of
Self-empowerment.
anything more important to do with my life.
Yeah.
Once I figure this person out,
Yeah, right.
empowering others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that
Well,
beautiful?
and I think that's where when we take those steps, when we become the leader and the coach in our own life, like self-coaching is the most important. Self-leadership, not self-criticism, self-love, right? When we are that way
100%.
with ourselves, we demonstrate and we give, it's magnetic, it's contagious. It's like the smile. It's like, wow, that person obviously feels good about themselves. Wow, that person obviously enjoys, living. It's like we give people permission to love themselves, to enjoy living. Like, get after it. Get the hell after it. So this has been
Get curious.
get curious. So we'd love to know what you guys think. Was this helpful to you? Or any practicing Buddhists out there? Anything you want to share or add to it? Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Love to hear from you. So, all right,
We'll keep them
sister.
posted on our journeys.
Yeah, yeah. And I think this, like we talked about, I was like, I want to do, so right now you're not like this practicing know-it-all Buddhist, got them all like tattooed on your arm. No, it's like, yeah, you're on the path, but we wanted to like benchmark this and say, okay, this is where we are right now. And 5 years from now, and then 5 years from then, where are we at? So thank you for sharing all of this. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
All right, what are we reminding our beautiful humans today?
Breathe.
A new one, guys.
One of the cool things I did adopt is they ring bells, and every time there's a bell rung, everybody stops and they just breathe. And they basically are clearing themselves, their mind, their body. And then they move on. It's quite beautiful. Yeah. We say to our beautiful humans out there, how their life feels is more important than how it looks.
And every day is your opportunity to find your awesome.